70,000 thoughts a day, but you only know 5.
So, in the last segment, we touched on the Libet experiment, which demonstrated that the unawareness is what initiates before the aware mind even knows. So, we can conclude that your awareness is always first to arrive. Okay, and to connect a few more dots, we also spoke about the first operating system that installed the survival mode in all of us, right? And in our primitive days, when OS1 was our primary and only operating system, we can see that it was by divine design, right? That the unawareness was the first one to arrive on the scene. Because when we were met with that scary mountain lion, if we had to wait and depend on our little 1% to stick its nose into the equation, we'd be dead, okay? We would have gotten eaten. The lag between our awareness and our awareness and our unawareness would have gotten us killed. And the brain signal that Libet detected actually begins up to 10 seconds. 10 seconds before a person reported feeling the urge to move, okay? 10 seconds. That's not a small lag, okay? That's the unawareness running a full program behind your back before you got the memo. But what I want you to take away from all of this right now is that there's something very empowering about Libet's findings, and that's the veto window. Awareness can't originate most actions, but it has a 200 millisecond window to cancel them. That window is everything. That window is where the programmer lives. That's where a big part of this framework sits, not in the originating of the program, but the intercepting of it. And don't get me wrong, we will eventually get into the origin of the operating systems. But to keep it simple right now as we connect dots, we're just going to focus on the veto power that you have. Okay. So there were some people who viewed Libet's findings as proof that we aren't operating with free will. Okay. But that's because those people, highly intelligent people, other scientific professionals, were looking at it through the wrong lens. Okay. And this is very important. They were looking at it from the only available lens that they had at the time. And what you're going to learn is eventually all things will be revisited through the fourth OS lens, because we are moving into a future where the fourth OS lens will be the only lens where things make any sense, okay? Things will get increasingly confusing for humans that continue to operate from outdated and obsolete programs. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And people can feel that something has shifted, but they just don't have a language for it yet. And that's what I'm attempting to do on this channel, because currently the majority of people, pretty much everyone on the planet, is trying to make sense out of the world through an operating system or through operating systems that aren't being supported anymore. We've moved on, but most people haven't gotten the memo, basically. Okay, people are trying to make sense out of the fourth operating system with thought patterns that simply aren't supported in fourth OS. And the people who looked at Libet's experiment and concluded that there's no free will were using OS1, OS2, and OS3 thinking to interpret a discovery that only makes sense in the fourth OS. And here's what I mean practically. OS1 through OS3 are all binary systems. Either you're in control or you're not. Either you have free will or you don't. Either your conscious mind, your 1% awareness, is running things or it isn't. And that's the only framework those operating systems have for evaluating the question. Because in those systems, power is a zero-sum game, okay? Somebody wins, somebody loses. Something is in charge or it isn't. So when Libet shows people that the unawareness initiates the action before the aware mind knows what's happening, they conclude the aware mind loses. No free will, game over. But that conclusion only makes sense if you're thinking on OS3 terms: win or lose, control or no control. So OS4, the fourth operating system, it sees things completely differently, okay? Because remember, and this is important, OS4 doesn't ask who's in charge, okay? It asks what role each part is playing. When you're asking who's in charge, that's software and an operating system that's running on OS2. Okay, and what Libet actually found in OS4 terms is the aware mind isn't the originator, but it's the editor, okay? It has veto power, and veto power over a system running 275,000 inputs per second, that's no small consolation prize, okay? So even though we've been viewing your little 1% awareness, right? It's only 1% of you. And that feels small, right? I keep saying that little 1% of you. But you have to realize that that little 1% of you, okay, it has the power. It's the one that has the power over the other 99% of you. You just don't realize it yet. And that's everything. That's the whole game right there. The people who called Libet's experiment proof against free will were trying to understand a fourth operating discovery using previous operating system logic, okay? That's like trying to run a new app on an old operating system. There's nothing wrong with the app. The app's not broken. The operating system just can't read it. Think about that.
70,000 thoughts a day, but you only know 5. The other 95% is running your life. You think you're in the driver's seat, but baby, who's at the wheel? The program's been the author of everything you feel. You planted seeds and fog so thick you couldn't see the ground, but the buffer's getting thin now and the harvest is coming around. What you put in the dark is all coming to the light. The physics don't negotiate, it don't care if you're right. The buffer's done, the buffer's done. What you are inside is what you're running from. The buffer's done, no more delay. What you create in the dark is on its way. No more hiding, no more lag. Consciousness is catching up, that's a fact. Oh, the buffer's done, the buffer's done. Time to meet yourself, ready or not, here it comes. OS1 just tried to survive, OS2 made the rules, OS3 chased the trophy, and OS4 need you to approve. But there's a fifth door opening, nobody mapped this place, where the inside and the outside finally share the same space. Helen Keller at the pump, the water always ran. You just couldn't feel your hands until the physics said now's the plan. AI didn't flip the switch flipped, then came the machine. Consciousness hit critical mass and built the thing to make you see. The buffer's done, the buffer's done. What you are inside is what you're running from. The buffer's done, no more delay. What you create in the dark is on its way. No more hiding, no more lag. Consciousness is catching up, that's a fact. Oh, the buffer's done, the buffer's done. Time to meet yourself, ready or not, here it comes. Unawareness wrote the code. Awareness is the one who gets to choose. First you observe, then you direct.